Hi everyone, welcome to another Disney Infinity tutorial. I hope you're all safe and well. We have left Tatooine for now and we are now on a new toy box series on the planet Vandor. And this is the Conveyex, which we are going to hijack one of those carriages based on the Solo movie, the big train heist section. That is what this whole adventure we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks entails. And you'll hear the icy wind blowing through just to give that aesthetic ambience of cold and bitterness. And poor old Solo doesn't have a jacket on at all. He must be freezing. Anyway, what we need to do in this level, we need to get to this outpost. This is an Imperial outpost where all the coaxium is loaded and unloaded from the planet. And once we get to that outpost, we need then to take the cable car up to the Eagle's Nest. And we go up to there, and that is where we then need to jump on top of the train. So we have a number of different elements within this adventure, and what I'm going to do in this particular clip is just show you the map layout, not the actual gameplay. The gameplay is going to come at the end. I'm going to do it slightly differently to my Mandalorian clip. So the plan for our adventure is to start off low within the valley where we're sheltered from the wind. And we need to get high up into the mountain where the Conveyex is running along, as you can see up there in the backdrop. And I wanted to try and make sure it felt like it was a mountain. It wanted to be something really high up, something hard to get hold of to. You couldn't just walk up there. So in our adventure we're going to string off a couple of different things that don't follow exactly to the film, but it had to flow as a gameplay because just being straight on the train didn't make any sense. So I wanted to make a reason why we got to get up there. So our first part of the adventure when we do the playthrough will be that we have to get into the base without being detected. Yeah, we can take out some guards, but we don't want to set any alarms off. Yeah. And I've staggered these little bases here to look like different landing pads and loading bays. But the plan is to get up to the nest, and that's what we need to do. So we've got the different routes and options that we can do, and we'll explore different logic with this as we go through. And the higher we get up, you start hearing the wind. It'll give that extra little effect, which is quite cool. Also, I wanted to add some depth to the base, so I've used these Hoth Rebel bases. They're slightly odd shapes, but I've managed to fit them on the end so they look like they fit seamlessly onto the Imperial landing pads. So you'll see here I've used some bricks in between just to fill them in, so you've got some path as you walk through. And again, we're going to show you how to build all these different stages up when you recreate this particular part. But we've got a little pad here, and then we need to get up to that Eagle's Nest. And the higher we go up, the more noisy and the wind gets as well, to add to that aesthetic ambience. I think that's the best way of describing it. It gets that real feeling set quite well. And there's the train coming on, and we've got a little cable car coming down. Now, the train can go faster, but if it goes too fast, when we're actually on top of that train, we won't be able to navigate through it, so it has to go relatively at a slowish pace. So in case any of you think it should be going lightning speed, because in the film it rockets, gameplay it will be too quick for us, but we'll review it as we go on anyway. You'll see I've got the power generators here, so we can add to the little gameplay of getting the power generators to power up the cable car in the first place. Okay, so that's the little things, and there's a few extra things we're going to show you the next coming weeks. So this is just the outline of the adventure. We will have the full gameplay with Imperials that we have to attack and fight. Now, one thing you could do is, well, if we've missed the cable car, why don't we just run up this platform? Which was, once I realised you could do that, it would defeat the whole object of the cable car. So I thought, well, hold on, as you get higher, it's going to get stronger, faster winds. And because of a particular individual put a clip out recently, I've copied that lovely fall to your death. That was Papa H. He came up with that falling scene, and by you guys posting your clips, it allows to give me ideas, because that Papa H clip gave me the whole idea for this Eagle's Nest. And the reason for that was, when I think of falling and that noise, and I know it's a great Star Wars noise, but when I was a kid I loved a film called Where Eagles Dare. It's a Clint Eastwood war movie, and I just remember falling off the height. And once I got the height going, I'm thinking, hold on, I know now how to get to the base. I'm going to have a cable car. So just seeing your clips sparked off this whole idea with the nest. So Papa H will probably claim his whole credit for the whole thing of this, but it was his idea that instigated me using the cable car, having that falling sound. So if you put any clips up, chuck them out there. You'd be amazed how different people can use those and interpret those into what they want them to do. So we're now getting quite up in the mountains now, so the wind's really howling. I've also swiped that as well. I like that in his Emperor's room, so I thought, well, I'll have that as well. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet, but we'll work with that at the moment. So I'd say this is our map, and it's quite a big layout. I'm trying to, and I quite like the Hoth face, because although there are edges, you can't see them because they're white, so it does blend in quite well. So there are a faint edge, but it doesn't stand out, so it does look quite a nice map. So I do quite like these. And you'll see we've got the train track that goes around certain corners and different edges. Like I say, we'll work on the full gameplay, and at the end we'll do a full run through of the whole adventure. But the adventure needed to have a structure to it, and that was the one thing I got lost with this map. I got the train going through, but I got lost. How the hell was I going to do this? And the reason why I came up with this train idea anyway, and I've been working on it for over a year, was when I did the 310 to Edinburgh clip, I wanted to show you that you could create trains using those blocks. I'm also going to let you know something here actually. I'm going to try and work out how to do a zip wire, so you don't just fall. You can, like in Captain America Civil War, when they slide down onto a train. I'm going to try and have some sort of effect appear like that on the screen. So I've got a few other little things to show you, not just a giant fall. But you'll see here we can now run and jump between the carriages. So if the train was going too fast, we wouldn't be able to do that. So that now allows us to move across. I'm hoping to see what it's like when we do the battles with it. And we now go around the entire track. You do get a bit disorientated by when it goes around a corner, because the camera view keeps on changing. But I think it works quite well. I quite like the look of the map. I've got different layers as well, so we can drop down. So somewhere in this adventure we're going to have to plant charges to blow up the tracks, and then we're going to somehow have to detach one of these containers off and take away in a spaceship. So that's the plan. The map itself is big, and we've used 3/4 of our memory already purely on the layout. So we are pushing it to the edge. So hopefully as we go through this next few weeks it'll all fall into place and work quite well. But I have to say I haven't actually completed it fully yet, but I just thought, you know what, I'm going to commit myself to it. Let's go and see, let's see how it all turns out. But we now come round through the track as it spins round. He must be cold without a coat though. But there you go. That is our Vandor map, and we're going to build this over the next couple of weeks. So the rest of this clip is going to show you how we set the foundations for the mountain range, and that's what I'm going to show you now. So the rest of this clip is just building those bricks and blocks to get you that map layout. So the wind's now gone, and we are now looking at a blank toy box, and you'll see here I'm using the terrain tool on the big flat boxes. And what you'll also notice is, look how high up from the ground I am. So that is the starting brick that you've got. And you'll notice I'm actually twice the height up. Now, you can't get the layout of this wrong because it's a mountain. It doesn't have to be exact, okay? You'll see here I'm chucking shapes here, and I'm chucking the shapes in different angles because I obviously want the track to go round and U-turn. So I thought I'd show you the beginning part. I'm not going to show you every brick that I do with this, purely on the fact that you've got to work what works with your console. And now, because it's a large map, you may not be able to do the full size, so you may want a slightly smaller, make it a little bit easier. But you'll see here I'm just trying to work out how do I get the outline of the shape. So I'm using these large blocks to try and get what the train is going to go around the outside, and that's what we're focused on more than anything. The other stuff we can add to it and just keep adding to that we need. So I didn't want a square because that was too flat, so I was trying to get an odd shape, and because remember the train's going round, coming round the edge, going to bend back and forth, so it was just a weird shape I was going through here, and it was just mindlessly just plot it away, and there we go. So I thought I'd show you how we do this particular part, And like I say, you can't get this wrong, yeah. And the one I mean is, it doesn't matter what your shape looks like. It doesn't have to be the same shape, yeah. What I want to show you is the logic and how you get the train working out and how your one will look. I will go through in detail how I built the eagle's nest and the conveyor belt, how you can use that side. So I'm going to go through all that logic, and it will fit seamlessly into your map quite well. But I spent a fair bit of time just playing around with this, looking at different places. I have to say, I have no idea what goes through my head at the time when I think I'll put it there. Well, what does that go? Do I want a square? I think I was trying to get the train to go inside that gap, and then I realised it was way too tight. And the nice thing with this, it doesn't have to fit smoothly. You'll see here, look, they don't fit that nice. I'll just put some blocks in. Yeah. So I've got that as my rough layout. You can see here the different shape going round. That is our mountain range. And when I first did this, this was only as high as it was going to be. I wasn't actually going to do any higher than this. But to me, it just never looked like a mountain. So I had to double up on this. But when you're doing this, don't double up straight away. Get the single layer done, and then you can see what your console's like with the memory you've got. Yeah. So if you go big too much, you may blow the memory straight away. So different consoles have different types of memory that you're using. I'm using a PS4. Xbox should be the same. I think the Wii should be relatively okay. I'm not too sure, but just again, do the first layer, and we just keep on adding to it. Like things I did with the Mandalorian, I just kept on adding it afterwards to see what memory I've got. You'll see here, I'm just making sure I'm filling those gaps in. And because it doesn't fit flush, again, doesn't matter. It wants to look slightly irregular. That's the beauty about this. And the more odd things you add to it, the more just the random shape it will start to look. So I've got a harsh corner there. But that there, I think, is the whole track. That's the basis of your map. That's all I did to do to put it together. So it gives you an idea how to set yourself going. Now I know I did when I did the Rogue One level. I went through brick by brick because we were actually building a physical spaceship, and I'll do that more with the Eagle's Nest. But like I say, doesn't matter because this one is purely just rocks. Yeah. Now sometimes I have to put these in between because the joins are very annoying. You can see the little light through the joins. So you don't want any gaps where if they don't fit in flush, you can see those little gaps, and they're really annoying. Yeah. Now, as I say, this clip, for the rest of this first clip, we're going to show you this level. The next clip I'm going to show you a bit later on this week is then how we do the actual train tracks and the actual train. So the Conveyex, how we got that going round the loop. And then my clip, which is going to be called Where Eagle's Dead, how we build the nest and the conveyor belt. And then we'll start adding the logic for the gameplay route as well. So now that we're looking like it's going in the right direction and we're looking our shapes quite nice, we're going to do the first thing now. Let's change it into a mountain range because some of the shapes don't have the exact same, which is a little bit frustrating because some are a bit too white, and I'll show you what I mean by that. If we just get our basic tools back up, and we're going to change the scenery to the echo base. So where is it? So unfiltered. Okay, so do the sky changer. We'll go into here, we'll change this, and then we'll delete it out once we've done it. Okay, go to properties, and we go to number 3, and we choose the echo base one. That gives us the white planet Hoth, which looks quite good. Now I have the music switched off of mine because it gets blocked by YouTube if I kept the music playing, which is a bit of a shame. So we've got the Hoth planet there, which is great. Now I quite like the rocky thing, but the green's no good. It doesn't match. So what I did there was I used the power disc for frozen. So you could use the frosted white weld, which is what I thought I'd use, but that looked like plastic. It didn't look like frozen at all. Look, it just looks like concrete. Didn't look like a mountain range at all, so that was no good. So the power disc I used was the frozen power disc, which gave me the frosted weld. So where is it? In fact, it wasn't frozen. It's frozen later. Sorry, I got that wrong. It was the echo base one. So you don't need the power disc. I'm talking rubbish. Okay. Now with this one here, what you'll notice is the echo base one has got that nice rocky. Look at the rocky edge to it. which looks quite good. But the only downside is some blocks are bright white. That I didn't like. You'll notice there, if you see a lot, you've got that nice rocky bit all going around it. Excellent, not bad. But as I come around the other side, you'll see here, look, they're just like white blocks. I wanted them to be rocky, so sometimes they work or don't work, but by mixing them up with a few things, you can hide away that anyway. But it now looks like a bit more of a mountain type scenario. So all we've got to do now is just fill in the top. Yeah. So I'm going to go through and just put some blocks in over the top. And again, we edit this again. So you may find that you put some blocks in and then you delete a load of bricks out. But if we go to our tool here, and again, not all the same shapes. Use random shapes here. You'll see I use the same tools I given shapes, but I'm going to think, right, well, I want different lips, different edges, and different types of lip, so you can fall off the edge, or it's staggered slightly. So I tried different scenarios like this on the screen, different height of bricks as well, how they all look. And sometimes, by the way, be wary. Depending on how you put the tile on, it goes like a bluey colour. If you twist that round, being on light, it can change the colour of that box to make it whiter as well, which I noticed as an issue. So be wary of that. So I'm going to stick this one in here. Again, just trying to give it a little bit of height because it's a mountain and I want it to be higher up. And strangely, I did the opposite. I went higher up when actually all I needed to do was go further down. So you see I've created a little box. And again, it doesn't have to flow. If it fits perfectly, then it will then look odd. So I want the shapes to be all random, different sizes, different odds. Move them to one side, click them across. If you've got gaps, don't worry. Use little boxes to fill them in. There's no wrong or right answer here. So you'll see here I'm jumping from different size blocks all the time. Let's have a different shape here. Yeah, I'll have that one covering that gap over there. I want all the little gaps covered up. You probably won't even see it from this side, but again, just randomly chuck them all across. So this is what I ended up with after I chucked the top on. I've speeded it across here just to show you again. I've tried to give you a little bit of random shapes. We're going to add on top of that, we're going to put in some cliff faces as well to the edges. But again, we don't need to go over to the board here. I would stop at this stage. Yeah, I wouldn't do all the final touches on it now. Right? I'm going to show you what I did, but I would do those at the end. We've got the shape. So for example here, if I just bring up the tools up, you'll see here we go to the cliff edges. We can then start adding on top of this. And I have to say, my advice would be leave this till last. Do this bit at the very end, because you can make it look, and you know how much memory you've got. Yeah. So don't do this now. Don't waste your time on this until the very end, because we're going to delete some of these boxes and they only get in the way. So I would stop here and then I would worry about it. But I just wanted to show you the tools that I've used when I go back. Now I've had this clip recorded for over about nearly a year and a half. This has been waiting on my hard drive, my backup, to go and show you what I did. But this is my my first draft that I did. Now I've got the tracks put in with the rails, and that's what we're going to look at next. Okay, and you can see I didn't have it right. That's why I didn't show it until now. It wasn't correct. I put a little bit of land space here. So we're going to worry about that later. Okay, we'll add to that, because it looks like ice cream cones on the top. It just didn't work. But the rocks is still good. So we're going to concentrate on the track next. Get that going round, get into how we set those up and the logic for all the ship moving through, and then we can build the nest on top of that and smooth it out. But it's our starting point that gets us kicked in here. Also, look at the memory. We're up to about halfway. The end of my memory on this, I used it basically. We've used it 3/4, so we've used quite a fair bit. But we'll make it more deep, richer as well. I hope you like what you've seen so far, and we should have this whole level completed over the next, I would say, 3 weeks in total. So we're going to carry on building this, and I'll release these over the weekend. Hope you like it. Stay safe, guys, and I'll get the other clip out to you as soon as possible. Take care. Speak to you soon. Bye.